So let's talk about the PS4K today, team, lads, lassies. The PS4K, it's only a rumor so far, but I don't want to talk about any sort of rumors. Apparently, it is a rumor or it is something real. I don't want to talk about it in the concept itself. I want to talk about the whole idea of having a new console already, and this kind of sort of aggravates me. But you know, let's get right into it first. Now, let's go over the fact of 4K. So for those of you who don't know what 4K truly is, 4K is a resolution that is about, if I'm correct over here, 3,840 by 2160 lines. Okay, 3,840 pixels by 2160 lines. That's basically the aspect ratio is 69. It's basically not exactly 4 times 1080p, I'd say, but you know, it's a major leap up. And there's far beyond 4K as well. We have 8K, and even then beyond that, there's even higher versions of that resolution. So it's not exactly, you know, a new sort of concept, but it's a concept that's slowly starting to emerge. And slowly but surely we'll all get there. For now, it's kind of still in its infancy. It's being toyed around with, and gradually we will get there. YouTube is one of the only video sites right now that I know of that is really offering 4K options, and slowly but surely it's going to get better than there. In fact, it's even offering options higher than 4K. So now we know that 4K is a resolution. You can watch videos at 4K, you can render videos at 4K, you can even play video games at 4K. And playing video games at 4K is kind of an expensive feat. Why is that? That is because to play games at 4K, you need a pretty powerful system. You need a system with usually multiple graphic cards, a higher than normal CPU, and depending on the game, more amounts of RAM than it typically requires. And with that comes 4K gaming. And to play 4K games properly, at least in my definition, is play them at 4K with 60 frames per second. Now, the new systems, apparently, the PS4K, which is again rumored, but you know, it's kind of sounding like it's going to be a legit thing, will allegedly play games at 4K. Now, for it to do that, the system has to not only be larger, it can't be slimmer than it already is, and it has to be far more expensive. We're talking nearly $1,000, if not over $1,000 of cost for this system if it's going to play modern games at a 4K resolution, even at 30 frames per second. And I don't think there's going to be many 60 frame games either, but you know, who knows how this thing plays out. Now, let's talk about PS4K and why I think it's absolutely fucking stupid. Now, let's talk about the PlayStation line in itself. I'm not going to talk about the Xbox because to me the Xbox isn't important right now. It's irrelevant. We're talking about PlayStation more often. Now, Muda here is a big PlayStation guy. I love PlayStation, okay? I when I was a kid, you know, that was the one system that I really became attributed to. When I was growing up, I had a PlayStation and all the other kids had a Nintendo 64. I had really good times with my PS1. And I think the PS1 has some of the best video games ever made on it. In fact, I think it has one of the best JRPG collections entirely. And I would find my old PS1 any day, pop in my copy of Final Fantasy VII or any other game that I had on there, Siphon Filter, whatever, and play it to death. PS2 comes out and PS2 rocks the world. PS2 had an incredibly long lifespan. The system had tons of amazing games, Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, hell, even Siphon Filter continued onto it, and the GTA original trilogy like 3, Vice City, San Andreas, brilliant games. PS3, again, many brilliant games on that franchise too. You know, you have the Resistance series, you have the continuation of Killzone 2, which is one of the best shooters that I've ever played. You have the continuation of, well, you have the entire emergence of new IPs such as Infamous, which I quickly grew in love with, and tons of games available on that platform. You got Demon's Souls, which is, hell, Metal Gear Solid 4 is a system you would own that enough for. PS4 doesn't really have a whole lot of games worth getting, and I'm talking about exclusive games. Because, let's be honest, multi-plat games, whether you get them on the Xbox One, whether you get them on the PS4, you're not going to see a whole lot of differences, you know, some graphical differences, but for people who are primarily console gaming, and if that's their leap, if they go from Xbox 360 to One, or, you know, PS3 to PS4, it's a major leap for them anyways, and they're very grateful to be playing that. If you're a PC gamer like me, there wasn't a whole lot of jump anyways, but that is to be expected. PC gamers. I myself play games at higher settings and all that stuff, higher resolutions and anyways, so it's not exactly a new concept to me at all. But the PS4, when it first comes out, you know, and that's like, how long did it come out? What, fuck, a few years ago, really? And it comes out with games, multi-platform games, and a lot of people are like, wow, it looks really good, great. And of course it looks great. You're jumping up fucking double the resolution of what you had before, and the games have more effects than they would normally have on the PS3 and 360. So of course they're going to be better looking. But most people who bought that system, as far as, you know, my group of friends, bought it for the exclusives. You know, we're talking about Uncharted's, we're talking about fucking Bloodborne that came out, we're talking about games like that. Games that you can't get anywhere other than a PlayStation 4. And right now, as of the upload date of this video, there are not, to me at least, and of course this is an opinionated piece as always, there are not a lot of games for me to go out and buy a PS4 for. If I didn't have a PS4 and I had to, like, you know, there was like, if I didn't have a PS4, I wouldn't cry over it, because there's just not a whole lot of games for me to go out and die over the system for. Right? Same thing I can say for the Xbox One. You know, there's still games coming out, and even the new exclusives that have come out, to me at least, fail to match their expectations. I don't think there's anyone that can really say Halo 5 is just as great as your other Halo games. In fact, I think in many ways it's weaker. And same thing with PlayStation. Can you really say Killzone Shadowfall is as good as Killzone 2? Of course you fucking can't. Now there are some games such as Bloodborne, which, yeah, I'd buy a PS4 for, but that's because I'm a fucking major Souls fan, okay? My dick gets hard for that shit. You have no idea, okay? There are many nights I made love to my copy of Bloodborne. I don't feel shame in ever saying that out on the internet. I know tons of other people have, but that is not the point of this video. The point of this video is to talk about how stupid of a fucking concept PS4K is. So these systems come out a few years ago. They don't have a fucking library to go lose your shit over, and already there seems to be announcements of new fucking systems. When you buy a console, okay, and this is what makes it better than a PC, is that the console, you don't have to upgrade as often, okay? Everyone's like, oh, well, you gotta fucking upgrade your graphic card for PC every year. Bullshit, okay? You don't have to. You can choose to, but you don't have to. You could play at lower settings. You could play in medium settings. You don't have to do any of those things. There are people that I know that have really, really shitty computers by today's standards, but they're still playing games. In fact, they're still playing those same games even better than than the PS4 or Xbox One variant. Okay, but the thing with the consoles is they last long, okay? Case in point, PS3 360, they had a long ass lifespan, okay? Long lifespan. In fact, there's still some games that are coming out for those systems. PS2, long lifespan. PS1, long lifespan. Get the whole picture? PS4, here's why it wouldn't have a long lifespan. Because if this was to exist, and if the PS4K is supposedly faster than the PS4, that means you basically created a PS5, or a underpowered version of what a PS5 should technically be. Because let's be honest, it's like the 3DS versus the new 3DS. If you don't know that, basically the new 3DS is slightly faster than the old 3DS. It has, you know, the C-Stick attached to it, and there are some exclusive games just for the new 3DS, such as Xenoblade Chronicles. Now, if PS4K is to come out, here's the scenarios that I'm gonna lay out for you. A, the PS4K doesn't properly get utilized, because here's the thing. Most people have PS4s. If you tell them, here's a system that's possibly going to cost you a fucking $1,000 or $700 at the very minimum. How many of you people who already may have PS4s or who don't have PS4s are willing to potentially spend a lot more money on a console that, might I remind you, you can get a PC for that price, literally giving you similar spec-wise, in fact, if not better, and you can do more on that computer than you ever can on a PS4. Fuck, you can't check your achievements offline, for God's sake. Okay? Let's put that out there. How many people are absolutely... My phone went off, so it's probably just Sony sending out their hitman on me. But the point is, how many people are willing to go out and buy a new PS4 4K for an absurdly high price? Not very many. Again, phone goes off. Allow me to set that thing to mute. Sorry, I'm getting a little hectic over here. But the point being over here is that who is really going out of their way to go get this system with the price tag that it will potentially have? Again, if you don't own a PS4, I get it. But for people that own one, how big of a slap is it to the face that what if you just bought a PS4 Christmas time? And this shit gets announced. Well, it means you bought an underpowered lemon, basically. And you should have just fucking waited. How would you know to wait? It's a giant clusterfuck, in my opinion. And honestly, I don't know where to go from here, because if this is a reality, to me, console games are pretty much dead. Because the scenario plays out like this. If the PS4K comes out, most probably it might have, games running at a higher resolution, faster frame rate, but they're not going to be too different. Because here's the thing, most of the people are still on PS4. So if you're releasing PS4 games as a business, you have to cater to the larger groups of people to make your money back. And if PS4's install base is always going to be larger, why the fuck would you code just for the new 4K? While you're killing off potential sales. And then add the fact that you also have the Xbox One to cover, which is already weaker than the PS4. Shit, that system's gonna be out of luck, and that's not gonna be pretty. You're missing out on revenue there as well. And then here's the other scenario. If people really embrace the PS4K, that leaves PS4 players out in the dust. Your console's getting an early fucking retirement, dude. You might as well start digging the grave. And that's where the problem arises. And that's honestly what really fucking scares me. Because here's the issue with the consoles right now. They are far more convoluted than they ever really need to be. We're talking about, connecting them to multiple social media accounts. You're pretty much always needing that always online connection, really, to even do half the menial shit you need to do on these systems. Needing day one patches. Every time I turn on my PS4, I'm always fucking getting a barrage of patches for like 4 or 5 games. Like, fucking stop, let me play the game. Same thing with the Xbox One. Hell, there was one time where 7 games needed updating. The fuck, man, what the hell? All right. And then add to the fact that these systems, they're not as fluid, I would say, as older systems were. They take hell, the Xbox One startup time from like energy saving. Holy shit, dude, I can make like 20 sandwiches and fucking come back and not have it halfway loaded. And now you're trying to sell new systems. So what the fuck? I know I'm rambling in every single direction, but you have to understand the problems that come from selling a PS4K or even a next box, is from what I've heard. Like, that's just fucking stupid. These systems, if they are to be released, just prove that these consoles will not have a long lifespan. So now that you don't have a long lifespan, you got to deal with the same patching issues that you have on PC, albeit it's a little more simplified, and the same crap that you universally get. What is the point of owning these systems? Isn't it just a big slap to the face? Like, sure, there are exclusives, but even as of now, when the PS4 is launched, there just aren't that many to go lose your mind over. Ultimately, though, that's what I'd think about the PS4K or any of this new console sort of nonsense, because now that this PS4K come out, there's also rumors for Xbox, and of course we have the Nintendo NX coming out, but the point being is that these systems, if this trend is to follow, they're coming out way too fast for it to even be viable. I don't think there's going to be many people willing to spend hundreds of dollars every year to just minorly upgrade their system. And if they really would do that, they're better off putting money into a PC so they can do like 1,000,000 times more than they ever could on that system. They have access to more online services, they have access to more game mods, they have access to more. So if this is to be a trend, you're better off just PC gaming. Easy as that. Because if Sony or any other company expects you to buy a system for hundreds of dollars every year, I don't know. I'm not really into it. I don't think I'll ever really get a PS4K. I bought a PS4, wasn't incredibly super impressed with it. If a PS4K comes out, I'm not going to go get it. But again, everyone is different, and this is just my opinion. As always, I do want to ask you what you think in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about the PS4K. I know I strayed away from this video for a while back, and the reason I did that was to just get my whole facts straight, to see if this wasn't just some bullshit rumor, and to sort of build up this whole video, to sort of get everything out there, my entire point, everything I wanted to say. I know I went on a million tangents, but that's just how rant time works. It's just me fucking unfiltered ranting about this kind of shit. And that's it. So if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. Let me know what you thought about this in the comment section below. This is me, Mudahar, and I am out.